For our next segment, last week, Singapore Airlines and Malaysia Airlines signed an agreement to step up cooperative ties. This will build on the two airlines' existing code share agreement, which covers flights between Singapore and Malaysia and will allow both airlines to sell seats on each other's flights. A formal agreement will be finalised in the coming months. I have here with me Karam, Senior Aviation Correspondent. Hi Karam.
Hi Alisa.
Can you tell us more about this new agreement and how did it come about in the first place?
Okay, sure. I think maybe it's good to take a step back. So this is not the first time SIA and MAS have come together. In fact, in 1966, Malaysia Singapore Airlines was formed, jointly owned by the two countries. But in 1972, both countries decided that they wanted their own national carriers. So that was when they split. And I think people may remember that for many, many years, SIA and MAS were doing shuttle services between Singapore and KL. That ended a couple of years back, at least 10 years ago, I think. And so since then, they do have codeshare agreements, which means that if you have like an SIA ticket, you could be flying on a MAS flight. But this only is for very specific destinations. So from Singapore to KL, up to Penang, to Kuching and Kota Kinabalu. So this recent MOU that we're talking about, the whole idea is to use that as a platform and then to look at how else these two carriers can work closely together on codeshare as one, which means that it could include many more destinations. But beyond that, they're also talking about the possibility of frequent flyer benefits on both sides. So like the exchange of miles, for example. So that's another one. And they're also talking about cooperation in cargo operations, as well as possibly aircraft maintenance and repair. But the thing is that there are no details at all. So it's just that, a lot of possibilities, but no one really knows the details because that's probably going to come in a couple of months' time.
So why are they looking to update the agreement now?
Yeah, so I think that's caused a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz in the industry. Anything that SIA and MAS, and really for that matter, anything that happens between Singapore and Malaysia tends to just get everyone excited. So if you just look at it as two carriers cooperating, it's really not anything new or unheard of in the aviation business. I mean, airlines collaborate, come together very often. So from that perspective, sure, it makes sense, But I think this particular tie-up is interesting because it seems to be between unequal partners. So you have SIA, clearly the heavyweight here. You're talking like about 200 aircraft across the SIA group, 140 destinations thereabout, and then MAS is about half the size. So it's very clear to me, at least, that the benefits for MAS seem to be quite obvious. You're like a smaller, weaker carrier, and to be able to ride on SIA's good name, its credibility, it's a good thing for MAS. SIA, not very clear. I mean, they could be looking at the possibility of Scoot, which is SIA's long-haul budget arm, maybe being able to expand its reach within Malaysia, which is a huge, largely untapped market, especially domestic destinations. So Scoot could use this as a way to get into the Malaysian domestic market. And also there's this thing called Asia, right, which is growing very quickly, causing some grief to MAS and to SIA. So together, SIA and MAS may be in a far better position to be able to, put up a stronger resistance to AirAsia.
There is talk that SQ might have a bigger stake or a stake in MAS with this agreement.
Yeah, well, if you ask me, I think that's really far-fetched. I really don't see why SIA would want to do this. I mean, all airlines are in a difficult position. The operating landscape is very challenging, but Malaysian MAS in particular has really seen a lot of problems. In 2014, I believe the Malaysian Sovereign Fund Khazanah injected a 6 billion Malaysian ringgit fund to help this troubled airline. They've been going through a couple of CEOs. The current CEO has been there for about 2 years, but before that, they had two CEOs, and each of them barely stayed for like a year. So there's a lot of internal mess. When I talk to some analysts, MAS I think has still yet to sort its house out. So I don't think it's a good idea for SIA to want to move in there and kind of inherit this mess, you know. So I don't see that happening, but cooperation, you know, yes, I mean, there's a lot that they can do. But I think in this particular case, it's also very important to understand that before anything can happen, the two governments have to give their blessings, you know, and there again, right? I mean, Singapore, Malaysia, all these tensions currently with the airspace and, sea dispute and all, we don't know, you know, whether or not it's actually going to happen. It should, I think, because it would benefit consumers on both sides for sure. I mean, better choices, better options, it's never a bad thing. So hopefully none of that, you know, will get in the way. And, you know, if the two carriers can cooperate, one may benefit more than the other, but, you know, if it's good for both sides, you know, I say why not.
Well, thank you so much, Karam. And as Karam said, there are more details to be released about this tie-up. So if you'd like to be updated on this, do log on to straitstimes.com and also follow our Facebook page and keep watching The Big Story.